Hello, friends. Thanks for popping 15 minutes with Fuzz into your podcast player. My name is Fuzz Martin, and this is a podcast about positive things happening in and around Washington County, Wisconsin. I hope you're having a great September. The kids are back in school, and childcare is a very hot topic right now. This week, Rob Johnson, the CEO of Kettle Moraine YMCA and the secretary of the West Bend Community Foundation, is back in the studio with me, and this time he's joined by Heidi Luft, the executive director of Supporting Families Together Association, and together they're here to talk about the state of childcare in our community and what the West Bend Community Foundation, along with several other community partners, are doing to help find solutions to our need for more childcare providers in the area. And with that, here are 15 minutes on supporting childcare solutions in Washington County with Rob Johnson and Heidi Luft on 15 Minutes with Fuzz. Rob, Heidi, thank you for coming on the show. Rob, you joined me a few weeks ago to talk about some of the exciting updates you have at the Kettle Moraine YMCA, talking about the fitness facilities and all of that. But fitness is just part of the Y, and obviously the Y is also very involved in childcare in our community as well. And you're involved heavily in the community outside of just the Y. You're also part of the West Bend Community Foundation, and we're here to talk today about just that, childcare and the community. So first of all, can you just give us an overview from a high level of what the Kettle Moraine YMCA does in terms of childcare? Can we start there?
For sure. Yeah, we're very excited. We serve a lot of families. What we call early childhood education is what we call from infant, which is typically 6 weeks of age to 5 years of age. We serve about 240 families every day. So that's a huge component. We do it at multiple locations throughout West Bend, Washington County. We also serve Ozaukee County. But then the second piece that we actually serve more kids is in the school age. So that's going to be before school, after school at every single elementary school, or we pick up and bring them to the YMCA. And we just finished up summer day camp. We had 1,100 kids in summer day camp this summer at 4 locations. You think about that, 1,100 kids every single day. We had 90 camp counselors that we had to hire to help, obviously, to deliver that program this summer. Now we've transitioned into the school year. Most of the schools started this week. Some of the parochial schools started last week. So that's kind of the impetus of the YMCA, which is a huge component of what we do.
Sure. So obviously access to childcare is a major need in every community right now, not just in the West Bend and Washington County communities, but it certainly is here as well. In addition to, your role at the YMCA, we've said you're part of the West Bend Community Foundation and a part of that Community Impact Committee. Can you tell us about that committee and how that plays a role into this childcare conversation and what it's doing to support the community?
Yeah, I think everyone knows that childcare right now is a really volatile area because there's lack of providers out there. We know of 2 childcare providers that actually closed their doors literally in the last 2 months here. Mm-hmm. That puts tremendous stress on everyone. It puts most of the stress on the parents, right? They have to go to work and they have to have a provider. So what our West Bend Community Foundation does is every year we have about $250,000 that we allocate out to agencies that do wonderful work in the community, broad spectrum of work, okay? But what they said is we really need to prioritize what is the biggest need in our community. So we brought in a lot of our agencies that work in the community, and we said, where do we need to invest our funds? And everyone said childcare is the most needed area right now. So we formed a committee, it was our Community Impact Committee, and what we did is we identified really 4 priorities. So those priorities are invest in high-quality early childhood education facilities, invest in expanding workforce options, advocate for increased childcare access, like you had identified, work with agencies to provide 4 areas of development around physical, cognitive, language, and social emotional development for children 0 to 8 years of age. Mm-hmm. Doesn't mean we forget about the kids that are older than that, but we know that we can have our biggest impact on their brain development from 0 to 8. So that really is the core of what we're working on.
Sure. And so this is obviously going to be a big lift. So how is the committee seeing this coming into action?
Yeah. So we obviously are just the funding arm of this, right? Okay. So we're the ones who are helping to facilitate the funding. And we really have 3 amazing partners that are going to help to do the lift for us. So we sat down with Forward Careers, which is a local agency that does amazing work already in this area. And I'll talk a little bit more specific about what they're going to provide. We sat down with Moraine Park Technical College, which obviously is a great resource that we're very fortunate to have locally, one of their campuses here out of their 3. And then 4Cs of Wisconsin is another wonderful resource that we have that can provide certifications. And a lot of the childcare providers use them directly already.
With this funding, then they'll use that to help, I guess, bring in more childcare providers, get more people certified. Is that the hope there?
Yep. So there's 2 components. I think the biggest component, and our focus right now is the workforce, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest thing we want to do is a new employee that walks in the door, we have to get them upskilled, right? Mm-hmm. We basically have to get them certified as an assistant teacher so that they could work in a classroom. We want them to be a lead teacher as well. But then we already have the existing workforce that really needs to have that education, further education. So the cool thing about this is that 4Cs can get you the certification so that we can get them into work right away. That's the most important thing, right? But if they want to go into a career in early childhood education, that's where Moraine Park comes in. So they can actually get a 2-year technical degree, they can get a certificate, associate's degree, whatever they want. But then Forward Careers, this is the most exciting part about this, it ties it all together, is they are the workforce side of it. So what they're going to do is they're actually going to pay for 350 hours of that employee's time as long as they're going to get these certifications. So it's an incentive. So the YMCA, we talked about us as a childcare provider. If Fuzz comes into us and says he wants to work for the YMCA, I can hire Fuzz on and I'm going to say, okay, Fuzz, we need to get you certified. I work with Forward Careers. They're going to pay your first 350 hours to work for the Y,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to go to class and you have
Sure.
to get certified, or if you're already an existing staff person, you can go and get upskilled with more education. So it's like the perfect storm to have these 3 agencies that really can do all the work together and very limited exposure or expense for the employer to do it. I mean, at the end of the day, we always know that really funds are the thing that prevents people from doing things.
Right. And so is the plan then, obviously this is for the first 3 years you had said, right?
Yep. So just the funding side of this. So West Bend Community Foundation is allocating $50,000 a year for 3 years, so $150,000. Our partner foundation, the Greater Milwaukee Foundation, which is the big umbrella, they said they would match it. So that's the $300,000. And then I talked to Josh Showman at the county, and he knows that childcare is a huge workforce issue,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if we want to get these young families to come and live in our community, we have to have childcare. So Josh put in $100,000. So we have $400,000 that we can use over 3 years to basically provide free education training opportunities for anyone in the early childhood education field. It's just awesome.
So what kind of training has to go in, for these individuals that need to get training? I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, and it's not a high paying, position for it's really a career of passion, I think, for a lot of individuals. So from that 4Cs training, what kind of, and in Moraine Park and those kind of things, what kind of training and background do people need to get in order to be certified in this?
Yep. So the great thing is there's 2 different avenues. So 4Cs is going to be the certification side that we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So that's typically going to be like an 80-hour class.
Okay.
To get them to be an assistant teacher, certified assistant teacher in a classroom.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
They do an additional 80 hours, they can become a lead teacher. And then we also have shaken baby syndrome. We have a bunch of different other certifications that help to support that work.
Mm-hmm.
But that I just kind of gave you the summary side of it.
Sure.
Now, if they actually do on the credit-based side of it from Moraine Park, it would typically be a 3-credit course in Intro to Education. There's just a whole gamut of different coursework that they can do. And that would also get them certified, but that would also lead them into that career in early childhood education. And you kind of hit it on the head. Most of the childcare providers are paying, $12 to $15 an hour. We obviously want to lift that up. We know how important childcare is. The challenge is that we have to charge more to be able to do that.
Right.
So I know like infant care right now is $350 a week. You and I talked about that before.
Mm-hmm.
$15,000 a year if you're going to have a child. I mean, you have to think about that before you want to start your family. And where's an opening? And that's the bigger challenge because like right now at the Y, I don't have an opening for an infant.
Yeah.
If you said, hey, we're going to have a child in the next 3 months, I'm going to be like, better find a provider.
Right.
Right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we, younger employees here at Epic, they always say, I've said oh, if you're starting to think about having a family, start looking now. And they kind of look at me like I'm crazy, but
it's true.
It's true. And I was very thankful when my oldest is now a junior in college, but the Y was there when we, had before school care and we needed, to drop Bree off before school so we could get to work. And that was there when we needed it. And without that, it would have, put a damper on some of our careers and those kind of things, and just juggling, paying the bills and all that stuff. So, but having the resources of people there to make sure that those are there for people with careers is very important to a community.
And just so you know, Fuzz, our school district partners are amazing, right? And they care about the families and the children. But ultimately, if we can provide that program in the school district so it's easy for a parent to drop off their child at 6:30 in the morning, they go to their elementary school programs during the day, they go into an after-school program right in their site. Mm-hmm. Mom or dad can pick them up at that point, grandma or grandpa. Safe, secure. There's so many benefits to it. So a huge thank you to the school districts who are partners in that. I
think I just got rid of my keychain that I had to have like last year. I think it finally broke, my pickup keychain, and she's just turned 20. All right. And today we're fortunate to have Heidi Luft from the Supporting Families Together Association, and you guys support 4C. So can you tell us a bit about how you support this program from your side of this?
Yeah, well, first I just want to say thank you so much for having me here
Absolutely.
today with you and Rob. Yeah, so I'm with the Supporting Families Together Association, and we are kind of the parent organization for 4C and other childcare and resource and referral agencies, and also family resource centers throughout the state. And this work that 4C has been funded to do is it's perfectly aligned with what they're here for. They provide really great trainings. They're one of our stronger agencies that offers just a ton of trainings to help providers get regulated, certified, and they're also around to provide any other kind of support that you may need. So any type of issue or question or problem that comes up, they're there. You can give them a call. They can provide some one-on-one coaching or connect with other resources in the community. 4C is also really engaged in a lot of our advocacy efforts. So I know one of the goals here is to advocate for increased childcare access. And that's something that Supporting Families Together Association, we coordinate statewide efforts to do advocacy for just that. And so I'm excited to see that here as a goal as well, because we know that to see really substantial changes in this kind of childcare crisis that we're in right now, it's going to take collaborative advocacy. And that's definitely a role that 4C and Supporting Families Together Association can have with this initiative here. And 4C also, they're one of our childcare resource and referral agencies that is a joint agency, also being considered or classified as a family resource center. And so here I see another one of these goals is to work with agencies to provide 4 areas of development among kids. And the family resource centers really do a lot of that work. They are focused on primarily like prevention of child abuse and neglect, but before it even happens.
Sure.
And the way that we do that is helping to develop strong families, really great parenting skills that facilitate all those areas of development. So just really pleased and grateful for the opportunity that has been given to 4C to be part of this super important work.
Great. Well, so this is all moving obviously quickly because it's a very important project and topic. What are the next steps on this? This was just announced, right? So what happens next from here?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So what I have is a draft letter that I'm going to send to all the childcare providers that are eligible for this. Okay. So they're actually going to get a written letter of directions of what the next steps are. So if you're a childcare provider out there right now, you're going to get a letter from myself, and you can certainly reach out to me at the Kettle Moraine YMCA as well. But you're going to get this letter. It's going to basically identify that you can either contact 4C, and all of them work with these agencies already, but you can contact 4C's, Moraine Park Technical College, or Forward Careers. And basically you can tell them, I want to get Fuzz into a class. I need to get him upskilled so that he can get an associate degree. So ultimately he could be a site director at one of your childcare locations. Or I just have a new person. I have new Heidi who's coming into the workforce and she wants to work in childcare. I want to get her signed up. All of the coursework is free. So this is perfect. Now, the biggest challenge they're going to have is how do I take fuzz out of the classroom to let them do the work, right?
Sure.
That's where Forward Careers is great, that they're going to pay for your salary for up to 350 hours at $15 an hour. So if you make more, make less, obviously you might have to cover some of that, but they're basically going to cover that cost for you to be able to do this either outside your regular hours or even while you're working, because kids nap, right? There's things that they can do during nap time. They can do some of their coursework and things like that. So all childcare providers can reach out to any of those 3 agencies and they can start doing that right away.
Sure.
So really exciting. And then I just want to piggyback on what Heidi said. Family Center of Washington County has been around for a long time. And I know there's so many families that have benefited from those open play times, dad and me times or mom and me times, right? And the YMCA plays an integral role in that as well, because we have so many families that come in and we obviously refer people over there, if they're struggling with a situation or a developmental issue or something like that. Family Center is so well positioned to be able to help these families during difficult times. And majority of these are free programs as well. So people just need to know about these, opportunities.
If somebody wants to learn more about the Family Center, where can they learn more? Where can they reach out?
Yeah, I would definitely follow up. Kathy Brunig is the director over at the Family Center of Washington County, and Kathy will certainly get them integrated. And they're located right in that whole old Pick and Save building, the LVS Center over there with the Threshold and Interfaith, all those agencies right there. Yep.
Very good. Heidi, if a family wants to help advocate for this, from a higher level, maybe speaking to their representative or, something from a higher level, what's the best way for them to do so?
So Supporting Families Together Association is working actually right now on some winter advocacy events that are coming up. And we will be advertising those widely on our webpage, supportingfamiliestogether.org. And we can also, they can reach out to us if they're interested. They can learn more about it. But this is actually a great year to get involved because we're taking a little bit of a different approach. Typically, we've had this big advocacy day at the Capitol, and those are great. But advocacy is something that needs to be ongoing, right? So this year, we're trying to formulate a kind of new structure for advocacy. And we're going and making it a little bit more accessible. So we're going to be doing some initial webinars that teach people how to put together a pitch if you want to talk to your representative.
Sure.
And then having opportunities for them to practice that pitch with peers, and then helping them to figure out how to set up meetings with their representative in their district. So this winter is going to be more district focused. And then in spring, we'll do another Capitol, advocacy day at the Capitol. But this is a great opportunity because you can watch the webinars after the fact if, you can't get it, off of work or you can't attend for whatever reason. And you don't have to travel to Madison if you live outside of Madison, right? You can plan to do advocacy right where you're living in your district. So yeah, keep an eye out. We'll be advertising that. We'll let Rob know so he can let the community know as well.
Sure. And it does work. I mean, if you reach out to your representatives, your state senators, and tell them, hey, this is an important issue to me and to my family, they do listen when you say that. And if they hear from enough constituents, they do act upon these things.
Yes, absolutely. Stories are powerful.
Yeah, exactly. So lastly, Rob, are there any action items that listeners can take if somebody wants to get involved with this program or with these efforts, if they want to get involved with becoming a child caregiver? What would be the best next step if somebody's listening, or if maybe their child who's going through school is interested in this? What's the first step to take?
Yeah. So if anyone's interested in actually becoming a home child care provider, 4Cs is your starting point.
Okay.
They're going to be able to walk you through that. So we need more providers, right? At the end of the day, it's not about competition between providers. We need more providers. We all know that. So you can certainly work on that side of it. If you're a person right now that's looking for employment and you like working with kids, we would love to have you at our organization, and so would the other providers. So you can just apply and we will get you in the door and we will get you certified. And we're going to pay for your certification. So there's nothing out of your pocket yourself to be able to do that, which is wonderful. And if you're already working in the field and you hear about this, say to yourself, hey, where do I want to be, right? There's nothing wrong with, being an assistant teacher. But you know what? You're going to get paid more. At the Y, you get paid more the more certification you have. So let's continue to go to school, continue to get an education. Doesn't mean you're going to have to be in the childcare field forever. But like I talked about those camp counselors that we have, many of those are teachers.
Sure.
Well, they have to work with kids. So if they work for the Y during the summertime and they do it for 2 or 3 summers, and then they go and they apply for a job as a school teacher, they're going to say, have you ever worked with 20 kids in a group? Yeah, I led 20 kids in a group during my summer day camp. You know, it's all experience that they can get. So if you're out there and you want to increase your knowledge around early childhood education, or just, you know, knowledge around education as a whole, certainly we can get you integrated.
Great. Well, Heidi, Rob, thank you very much for, first of all, what you're doing here for the community is very, very much needed. And it's great to see that there are individuals and organizations coming together to try to take care of this issue. And also thank you for coming in today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you again to Heidi Luft of Supporting Families Together Foundation and Rob Johnson of the West Bend Community Foundation and the Kettle Moraine YMCA for joining me on this week's episode of 15 Minutes with Fuzz. If you're ever listening to this show and you're thinking, hey, Fuzz should interview this interesting person, please don't keep that to yourself. Reach out. Go to fuzzmartin.com/guest and fill in the form. That is fuzzmartin.com/guest. Or, you know, you could just open up your old email program and email me, fuzz@fuzzmartin.com. That is fuzz@fuzzmartin.com. New episodes come out on Tuesdays. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or basically any platform you like to listen to podcasts on. It's everywhere, baby. You can also listen at fuzzmartin.com. And you know what? I'll talk to you next time, right here on 15 Minutes with Fuzz. I almost said the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast. That's my wife's podcast that we just finished recording.